Today, I have the great pleasure of introducing to you Mr. Michael Huxtable. Michael Huxtable is a man that can sell the moon to the stars. He is one of the greatest salesmen ever, but on top of that, he's also a personal friend of mine, and I just have nothing but ultimate respect for him. He is so driven and such a go-getter, and his career has spanned quite a few years now, and I would just love for him to share a little bit about his career, where he's gone, where he's been, and where he's headed. So, Michael, thanks for being here.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It's good to see you. I miss my California family.
Absolutely. So how did your career all begin? Let's get into that.
Holy moly. Let's see. I graduated Auburn with a hotel restaurant management degree, and I minored in business. And I started working for Hyatt Corporation in Buckhead, Atlanta. Then I transferred with them to Tampa Fort, their property there. Got laid off September 11th, or shortly after, a couple days after the disaster happened, because I was the lowest guy on the totem pole. I was just out of college, so of course that entire industry took a massive hit. And then I just started networking, and it turns out one of my best friends, who was in Vegas at the time, we all just graduated college. He's like, "Come out here and let's open up a restaurant." So I'm 21 years old. I packed my stuff, drove cross country from Tampa to Vegas, and went there and started trying to work things out. And long story short, it didn't work out. And then I was circling ads in a newspaper because I was looking for a job, and it brought me to this whole network marketing concept, the whole pyramid stuff. And I'd never heard of it before. And I was like, this is genius. And the advertising said group interview. So as you know me personally, I mean, group interview, I'm going to kill it. So I went and did a group interview, and of course I nailed it. And I spent the last $5,000 I had on a credit card to do the whole deal. And then through the sales process, my first month, I made $3,500 in a month. And at that age, that was the most money I ever seen in my life at one time. So I was like, woohoo, I struck rich. And then worked the business for the next 4 years. I moved from Vegas to Utah, because that's the network marketing mecca of the world, and started working the business. And next thing you know, I was the guy in the front of the room circling, this could be you, doing the whole pitch. And, I found a niche for myself then at 22 that I belonged in the front of a room, because I had no fear, I guess. Public speaking, they say, is the number one fear of all humans over death.
Right.
And I had no fear. So I was like, okay, this is something I could do. That company ended up getting shut down by the FTC. Oops. So, oops. And I just started, again, networking, and it brought me to this company called the Coaching Institute, and that's where you and I met.
Yes.
When I first started with them, I was just a closer, which means the guy who works the back of the room after the presenter does the presentation. I help close the deals. And, for those of you who are new to this whole sales thing, there's a big difference between a salesperson and a closer. The closer closes the deal, salesperson just talks. So I was really good at that. And then 8 months in, my speaker got sick on the road. Now I'm telling you, I did this for 5 years total. We were in a different city every day, in a different state every week besides the weekend. We were only home for 36 hours a week. Wow. We'd fly in on Friday night, fly out Sunday afternoon. So for example, at the time we were living in Utah, so we'd fly to San Diego, for example, like when we met, flying to San Diego proper, and then we do, Pacific Beach, and we do La Jolla, then we do Del Mar, then we do Carlsbad, circle back, and then fly out. And so the speaker got sick, I got my shot, and I hit a home run. I sold, I think it was the most anyone's ever sold in their first presentation. And from that point on, I was the top producing speaker of the company for the next 4 years. And of course, that's where
let's talk about a person with a sales career. I mean, who is good at being a salesman? How do you know if you're going to be good at it?
Well, in order to do sales, the first and for me and the most important is you have to believe in the product. People will see right through you if you have any sort of doubt in the product you're selling. So I've always found the most success with believing in what I'm selling. So I've never taken on a job or a project where I don't believe in what I'm selling. So to me, I think that's like the most important thing. So what else?
I guess you have to be pretty organized and follow up with everything.
Oh, geez.
Got so many balls in the air, right?
Organization is key. You have all these balls in the air, like you said, so there's all these tools out there that help us. because me, I'm Mr. ADD. It's like I need my structure. So there's Calendly we use, obviously, and Google Calendars and all these invites to keep us, and the alerts to keep you, on track. But follow-up is key. I mean, that's where I feel like most drop the ball as far as sales folks and closers and presenters. It's just one of these things where staying organized obviously will help you do the follow-up, but it's all about follow-up.
And it's multiple follow-ups to get a sale.
Absolutely.
And people coach will ask you, well, if I call them again, is that going to do the job? No, depending on the price of the product, you could be calling them 8, 10, even into a year, depending on what it is.
Yep.
But yeah, you have to be able to handle the word no and just move on to the next thing, right?
Exactly. I mean, every no brings you closer to a yes, and so you can't get frustrated. Your feelers can't get hurt. I mean, just be prepared in sales to hear no way more than you hear yes, no matter how good you are.
But then when you hear yes, what does that feel like?
It's so gratifying. It's like it's an internal celebration, I'll tell you.
I so get that.
I know, right?
I think the thrill of victory, honestly,
right.
when you close a sale, it's because you believe in what you're doing, so you're helping the person. I mean, it's just win-win across the board.
Exactly. And especially that you nail it when you get to help someone, it's that 10 times better, whether you're putting them in a brand new car that and you stand by and you see their smile and they get in, or whether you're selling engineered polyethylene sheeting and that's going to actually it's fire retardant and you can protect their entire lives or their entire home, to selling a product or a service, anything that is going to benefit them. It's awesome.
This is my assistant, one of my assistants. She's I'm dog sitting my grandchild right here, so forgive us for our four-legged friend here.
I love it.
Okay, so you're in front of the room and you're obviously a speaker. Do people know that they're going to be a speaker, or did you just?
No way. I mean, it's interesting. I can sing, but put me in a karaoke situation, which is very odd because me, I can be in front of the room with thousands of people, doesn't matter. But if I'm singing, it's like I get nervous and this and that. So I'm actually in the process of selling everything I own and moving to Nicaragua. And in Nicaragua, it's a huge karaoke thing on Wednesday. So I'm gonna push myself and put myself in that situation and pick up the microphone. So I'll send you a video.
Please. Wow. So, okay, so you had your speaking with the real estate company, and then what happened?
Okay, after the real estate company, oh geez, I guess I can get this personal. It's okay. After that, my past caught up to me. I had gotten into trouble a few years, 6 to 8 years earlier in Utah when I was there. I'll just tell you guys, I got 3 DUIs in 1 year. So don't drink and drive.
You didn't figure it out till the third one, right?
Yeah, it took me a while. I'm a slow learner, but and at that point, my past caught up to me, so I had to fly. I left my job. I had to fly back to Utah to go to court, and I ended up in jail for 2 months when it should have been a year. But I had a good lawyer, so I was in jail for 2 months, and then lost everything. And I ended up moving back home with my sister. At this point, I'm horrible with the timeline, but I'd say late 20s, right? Like late 20s. And I had to start over. And so I went back to my roots, hotels and restaurants, until I found my way. I knew when I was doing it that it wasn't my calling. I'm like, okay, this isn't it. I got to get out of here. And then I just started networking. I'm like, I need a job. So that's another, tip for you guys, work your warm sphere, work as many people as to help you get a job. And here's another, this is true, Nana, I don't know if you knew this, but I don't know if this is good advice for your people, but I've never created a resume or submitted a resume. I've only gotten jobs based on me and who I am and people knowing how good I am.
Right.
So I never even needed that piece of paper, even though it's extremely important. You have to get your resume, get yourself a headhunter, all that fun stuff. But I never needed to, even up to this job that I just got recently. So a buddy of mine, I reached out, I networked. He said, hey, come to New Jersey, across the country again.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, I got this job for you, come check it out. And it ended up being events. So I literally, this is a true story. I spent my last $500, flew myself out there for a working interview that lasted a weekend. Basically worked 3 weddings for free to see if I liked it. Sat down with the owner afterwards, and he says, okay, well, tell me about yourself. Told him, I gave my little pitch. You guys should all have like a nice 10-minute pitch about yourself. And then he goes, okay, I'll call you on Monday. So I thought I had the job. So I celebrated a little too early, which you guys should not ever do. And I went home and I quit my job because I hated it before I even had a contract in my hands. And then I ended up not hearing from that man for 4 months. Oh my God. I was just freaking out to the point where, because I didn't get a no, I felt it was okay. I hit them every day with an email, a text, a phone call, what's going on, what's going on. And I just kept getting pushed back. Finally, 4 months later, I got an offer of half of what I had asked for.
Oh my gosh.
He knew I was desperate. So I was like, okay, I'll take it under one condition. When I hit my numbers, not if, when I hit my sales numbers the first month, I want my salary. He goes, okay, because he knew it was for him. He's like, this kid has never sold weddings before in his life or major life events, which is what I was doing. Weddings, bar mitzvahs, sweet 16s, any major life event. And he's like, this guy's never done it. Of course, I'll take that bet, basically is what he said.
Right.
So I literally, at that point, remember, I'm just out of jail, and I had nothing but my little Pontiac Vibe, my clothes, and an air mattress. And I drove from Atlanta to Jersey. And lucky for me, or not so lucky, I don't know, his cousin had a slum apartment and he put me in. And it was literally in the ghetto. I didn't have window shades and I couldn't afford to buy them. So there's me, no window shades in the ghetto with an air mattress and clothes. That's it. And I went to work. I mean, I didn't have enough money to where I had to skip the tolls because there's so many tolls up here in the Northeast. 30 days later, I turned to my numbers and I went to his office, put him on his desk, and he looks at me, he goes, get out. I was like, okay. So I just went to my desk and sat down. I was like, well, here we go. 5 minutes later, I got a phone call and he pulls me in his office and his daughters are sitting there now, who he's prepping at this time to run the business. So he goes, come on in. So I came in and he goes, sit down. I said, I'd rather not. Right now I'm talking, this is an Italian family only run old mafioso type of a situation. So he pulls out a gun.
Oh my God.
He didn't point it at me. He just kind of waved it in the air, let me know that it was there. And if I may curse, he looks at me, he goes, don't fuck me. And I'm like, does this mean I got my raise? Didn't even flinch. I don't think I was not going to shoot me.
Yeah.
And plus I'm just coming from jail. So I'm pretty prepped at this point. And this is a true story. And I go, did I get my raise? Can I go back to work? And he looked at his daughters. He goes, I love this guy. And he goes, yes, you did. And I found out that I broke the all-time sales record of 25 years of existence in the first month of being there, never having sold a life event before in my life. And you know how I did it? Because I had to. It's amazing what you can do when you have to do something.
Right.
And then that was it. From then on, I, started getting my life back, and I ended up doing events from there. I worked there for 5 years and then ended up transferring to Huntington, Long Island, where I just was for the past 5 years doing the same thing. Director of sales there. I even got a larger title, because obviously you'll find as you go through, I started off as an assistant, this, and then you get that, and then you get your director. And the next step for me really in that industry was either to open up my own place or to become my own wedding planner. And I really didn't want to do either. So I lasted there for about 5 years and just took on a new job, which is now webinar sales. So
Nice.
yeah, it's my first time ever. And I'm 44 I've been working since I was legally able, 15 years old. Started bagging groceries and just kept on going. I can thank my dad for that, for giving me the work ethic. But now I have a webinar job that enables me to live anywhere I want. So I decided, okay, this is my shot. And I've always wanted to start traveling and living across the world. So I literally am in the current, if you could see my apartment, it's literally half empty. I only have a dining room table and my bedroom furniture left. I sold my Harley Davidson, I sold my Cadillac, and I'm leaving in 2 weeks.
And you're going to be a digital nomad.
and I'm going to be a digital nomad.
Yeah, that's the lifestyle, right? A lot of people like that.
I know it's big now. It's the more I
Huge.
talk about it to people, the more I'm finding that people, ever since the pandemic, especially, they're realizing, okay, working remote can work, and major
Yes.
corporations are learning it too. They're shutting down huge, commercial buildings in New York City, and I'm sure across the country, and to save all that rent, they're just going to put us behind a computer in our homes or wherever we want to work, and
Right.
it's
It
on.
works. It totally works. Yeah, no, it's good. Well, wow, that's just a great, great story. I love your past and your enthusiasm and everything else. So
Thanks.
if you had to give your best piece of advice to anybody in the job market, whether it's a new job or, later in life type of job, what would you say?
Do something you love.
I knew you were going to say that. That's what I would say.
I mean, it's so true. And it's, I think why that just came to me. I mean, obviously it's in our heart and soul, but I've had jobs where I'm not inspired and I'm not loving what I'm doing. And there's nothing worse than waking up dreading going to work. I mean, listen, It's not like people jump out of bed typically like, oh my God, I get to go work. But there is a big difference with, going to work with people you hate, or you don't like your boss, or, you're not really into the product you're selling. It's just crucial. Find something that you love doing. Find a product you love providing to people. And that's my best advice.
I mean, because that's what I do with them when I'm coaching people, is we really pursue what is it you love and who has something like that you can do. And it takes a lot of work to get the job you love. You can't just take the first thing that pays the most, because that may not be satisfying.
Right. That's a great point. I just spent the past 3 weeks pretty much trying to find out what I wanted to do next. And one of my mentors said exactly that. He goes, don't take the first offer. He's like, wait, see what comes your way, make the right decision. Don't just because it pays the most. Literally, he said the same thing. Just because it doesn't pay the most,
Right.
he's like, doesn't mean that's the job for you. And I'm like, I never heard that before. And I'm 44. I just heard it. I'm like, wow, that makes so much sense. And sure enough, I didn't. I had job offers from Top Golf. They wanted me to be one of their, director of sales. I had another job offer at a catering hall in Jersey. They wanted me to come back that way. And I'm like, okay, holding off. And then I had this opportunity. So same thing. I flew to Miami, which is where they're based. I did a 2 or 3 day working without a commitment. I'm like, just let me come and see what you do. They're like, of course, come. I mean, how many people offer that?
Yeah.
So
And
I went. I paid.
If you can go shadow somebody for a couple of days, that's the way to do it.
And you know what I would do? This is way old school, but I don't know if you recommend this, but I would, doing what I just did. You really want a job? Show up.
Yeah.
Just show up with a resume, go in their lobby and be like, hi, I'm here to see so-and-so. If they're not there, I mean, talk to someone, but just show up in person, let them know you're there. And that's exactly what I did with their permission. They're like, yeah, sure, come in. So I flew myself from New York to Miami, went there for a couple of days, did my working interview. And then it worked out. They offered me that day, and I still paused. I'm like, let me think about it. I have some more thinking to do. And then it eventually accepted the job.
Perfect. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, you're off to Nicaragua. That's really cool. Do you have a place to stay?
I do. A little boutique hotel I'm going to start at first, which is right in town where I can walk everywhere. I don't need transportation. And then I'll look around at some places to rent. And because I've never lived in a third world country, so I want to make sure it works.
Right.
If it doesn't work, I come back. No big deal.
Yep.
But if it does work, when it does work, then I'll find a more permanent place where I'm by myself, this and that. But it's not like a hostel. It's nothing crazy. It's like a really nice boutique hotel.
Yeah, no, that's great. If anybody wants to reach out to you and pick your brain or learn more about you, where should they reach out?
Just shoot me an email, my personal email, mhux1977@gmail.com. So it's short for my name, Michael Huxtable, mhux1977. No, that's it. Scratch that. mhux2017@gmail.com. Yeah,
okay,
mhux2017@gmail.com.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom with all of us.
Of course, anytime. I'd love to.
Can't wait to see where the future takes you. I'm sure it'll be just as exhilarating.
Thank you. I appreciate your time, Donna. Always good seeing you.
Good to see you too, Michael. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.